Imagine standing in the heart of an ancient Egyptian tomb, the air heavy with the weight of 4,000 years. Your flashlight dances across a golden death mask, its serene gaze hiding secrets that would have broken the hearts of those who crafted it. You're not just in a grave. You're at the edge of a tragedy that spans millennia, a story of divine ambition twisted into human suffering. Welcome to Grim Chronicles, where we dig into the darkest corners of history, and today, we're unraveling the genetic catastrophe of Egypt's royal families. This isn't just about pharaohs or forgotten dynasties. It's about a civilization that thought it could defy nature by keeping its bloodline pure, only to poison it with every marriage. Grab a seat, maybe something to steady your nerves, and let's step into a world where gods walked among men, or so they believed, and paid a price no one could have foreseen. Picture yourself on the banks of the Nile, where the river's green ribbon cuts through endless desert. In ancient Egypt, the pharaohs weren't mere kings. They were living gods, their every breath a bridge to the divine. Their blood was sacred, a gift from Ra himself, too precious to mingle with the farmers and craftsmen toiling under the sun. This wasn't a whim, it was a doctrine, carved into the stone of their temples, whispered in the halls of their palaces. The first pharaohs who chose their sisters as brides didn't see themselves as reckless. They were guardians of divinity, preserving a bloodline they believed carried the essence of the gods. Their priests chanted approval. Their advisors saw political strength in these unions. And no one, not a single soul, considered the invisible damage they were weaving into their descendants' futures. Let's step into the mind of one of these early rulers, Menes, the legendary unifier of Egypt around 3100 BCE. You're not just a man. You're Horus incarnate, your every decision watched by gods and mortals alike. Your sister, radiant and regal, is presented as your bride. To you, this isn't strange. It's destiny. Marrying her ensures your children inherit the divine spark, untainted by the blood of commoners. The court hums with the promise of a dynasty that will endure forever, and the priest's hymns seal your choice as sacred. You don't know about genetics. How could you? The concept is thousands of years away, but you feel the weight of eternity, the need to keep your bloodline pure. You take her hand, and the cycle begins. At first, the consequences are subtle, like ripples on the Nile's surface. A royal child is born with a slightly crooked jaw, a quirk the priests call a mark of divine favor. Another dies in infancy, and the court whispers of the gods calling them to the afterlife. These early signs are easy to dismiss, especially when your pyramids are rising, your armies are conquering, and your people worship you as a deity. But each sibling marriage adds a drop of poison to the bloodline. Genes, unseen and unknown, begin to tangle in ways no one could predict. Recessive traits, harmless when paired with diverse blood, start to double up, surfacing as physical weaknesses, strange features, or fragile health. The priests don't see it. The advisors don't question it. The pharaohs, raised to believe their suffering is divine, press on. Imagine being one of these royal children, growing up in a palace of alabaster and gold. You're told you're divine, but your body tells a different story. Your spine aches, your teeth don't align, and your legs tire faster than those of the servants' children you glimpse from your balcony. You don't play with them. How could a god play with mortals? Your only companions are your siblings, who look eerily like you, their faces mirroring your own strange features. The priests tell you this is what makes you special, but you feel the weight of something wrong, something no one can name. You're a child, but you're already a prisoner of your bloodline, locked in a cycle you didn't choose. As centuries pass, the Old Kingdom, around 2600 BCE, sees the pyramids of Giza rise as monuments to Egypt's power. The pharaohs are at their zenith, their rule unquestioned. But in the royal palaces, the seeds of destruction are sprouting. Sibling marriages, though not yet universal, are becoming common. A pharaoh like Khufu, builder of the Great Pyramid, might marry his half-sister to solidify his claim. Their children, raised in the same tradition, follow suit. Court physicians notice oddities. A prince with a limp, a princess who struggles to breathe. but they don't connect the dots. Their world is governed by gods, not science. Every deformity is spun into a story of divine will. Every early death a call to the afterlife. When the Old Kingdom crumbles around 2200 BCE, Egypt fractures, and the Middle Kingdom rises. Pharaohs needing alliances marry foreign princesses from Nubia or the Levant, bringing fresh blood into the royal line. For a time, the genetic damage recedes. Mummies from this period show healthier bones, longer lifespans, fewer deformities. The kingdom prospers, its rulers stronger, their children more robust. But power breeds arrogance, and arrogance breeds isolation. By the New Kingdom, around 1500 BCE, the pharaohs are turning inward again, marrying their sisters and daughters to keep the bloodline pure. The poison begins to flow once more, and the stage is set for a tragedy that will echo through the ages. In the scorching heat of 1353 BCE, a child is born who will become one of history's most enigmatic figures. His name is Amenhotep IV, later known as Akhenaten, and he enters a palace where the air is thick with incense and secrets. His parents, Amenhotep III and Queen Tai, are products of generations of sibling marriages, and their son bears the marks of that legacy. His skull is elongated, stretched like clay in a sculptor's hands. His hips are wide, almost feminine, and his chest develops in ways that make his royal robes hang awkwardly. The courtiers whisper, the servants avert their eyes, but no one dares speak the truth. The future pharaoh doesn't look like the god-kings carved into temple walls. Growing up, Akhenaten must have felt the weight of those differences. Imagine being a boy, surrounded by images of perfect, muscular pharaohs, yet seeing a stranger in your reflection. Your walk is uneven. Your voice doesn't carry the commanding tone of your father's. The other children in the palace, your siblings, your cousins, share your strange features, but no one explains why. The priests spin tales of divine favor, claiming your elongated head is a sign of closeness to the gods. But you're not a fool. You see the pity in the eyes of those who serve you, the careful phrases of courtiers navigating a dangerous truth. When Akhenaten ascends the throne, he does something unprecedented. He orders his artists to stop lying. For centuries, Egyptian art has idealized the pharaohs, smoothing out their flaws to match the divine image. But Akhenaten demands truth. His sculptures and reliefs show the royal family as they are. Elongated skulls, protruding bellies, hips that curve unnaturally. Modern scholars call this an artistic revolution, but it's a cry for honesty. Akhenaten is tired of pretending his body is a temple to the gods when it feels like a prison. If he's a god, then the gods must look like him, deformities and all. He marries Nefertiti, a woman whose beauty is legendary, but whose portraits show the same strange proportions as her husband. Together, they produce 6 daughters, each bearing the marks of their bloodline. Long heads, delicate frames, features that don't quite align with the idealized beauty of Egyptian art. Court records hint at sons who don't survive infancy, their tiny bodies unable to bear the genetic burden passed down through generations. The palace becomes a gallery of living evidence, each child a testament to the damage wrought by centuries of inbreeding. Akhenaten's story isn't just about physical deformities. He's a man searching for answers, perhaps driven by the pain of his own existence. He abandons Egypt's traditional gods, declaring the sun disk Aten as the sole deity. He moves the capital to a new city, Amarna, built in the desert far from Thebes' ancient temples. This isn't just a religious revolution. It's an act of defiance, maybe even desperation. If the old gods have cursed his family, perhaps a new god will show mercy. But no god, new or old, can rewrite the laws of genetics. In Amarna, the royal family lives in splendid isolation, their deformities immortalized in art that's both haunting and honest. The reliefs show Akhenaten and Nefertiti with their daughters, their bodies alien yet human, their faces a mirror of their shared genetic fate. The city is a monument to their delusion, a place where they can pretend their suffering is divine. But the truth is carved into their bones. Akhenaten dies young, as do most men in his line. His revolution crumbles, his city abandoned, his name erased from monuments by priests eager to restore the old ways. The genetic curse doesn't die with him. It passes to his son, a boy who will become Egypt's most famous pharaoh. Not for his deeds, but for the tragedy of his short life. Picture a boy, barely 9 years old, limping through a palace of gold and lapis lazuli. His name is Tutankhamun, and he's the son of Akhenaten, inheriting not just a throne but a body broken by generations of inbreeding. His left foot twists inward, what we now call a clubfoot, making every step a painful effort. His spine curves unnaturally, forcing him into positions that make even sitting on the golden throne an ordeal. His chest is malformed, his breathing labored in the desert heat. This is the boy Egypt worships as a living god, yet he needs walking sticks to cross a room. Imagine the cruel irony of his life. Subjects bow before him, priests chant of his divine strength, but servants discreetly position supports to keep him upright during ceremonies. Over 130 walking sticks are later found in his tomb, some simple canes, others ornate golden staffs, all serving the same purpose, to prop up a god-king whose body betrays him daily. The palace physicians hover, offering potions and prayers, but nothing can fix what genetics has broken. Tutankhamun grows up in isolation, separated from other children to hide his condition and protect his divine image. His only companions are his siblings and half-sister, Ankhesenamun, whom he marries, continuing the cycle of inbreeding. Their marriage is a genetic disaster waiting to happen. Ankhesenamun, herself a product of the same poisoned bloodline, bears the same frailties. Their attempts at children end in miscarriages and stillbirths, tiny mummies buried alongside their father as silent witnesses to genetic incompatibility. Imagine the psychological toll on this young couple, raised to believe their union is divine yet watching their hopes for a family crumble. Tutankhamun sees the temple walls painted with images of strong, perfect pharaohs, his supposed ancestors, and must wonder why he's so different. The court artists tasked with portraying him abandon realism, creating stylized images that hide the broken boy beneath the crown. By 19, Tutankhamun's body gives out. A simple case of malaria, survivable for a healthy person, overwhelms his compromised immune system. As he lies dying, fever burning through his fragile frame, does he realize the truth? That his suffering wasn't the will of the gods but the result of choices made centuries before he was born. His death in 1323 BCE is swift, his burial hurried, his tomb sealed and forgotten until Howard Carter opens it in 1922. The discovery makes him famous, but it's the DNA analysis in 2010 that reveals the full tragedy. Tutankhamun was the product of sibling incest, his body a map of genetic damage accumulated over generations. You'd think his death would have been a wake-up call, a warning to Egypt's rulers to abandon their obsession with bloodline purity. But power blinds people to inconvenient truths. Fast forward 1,200 years to 323 BCE, when Alexander the Great's empire fractures, and his general Ptolemy seizes Egypt. The Ptolemies are Macedonian Greeks, outsiders who see themselves as superior to the Egyptians they rule. But they're pragmatists. They study the temple walls, read the ancient texts, and decide that marrying their siblings is the key to maintaining power. They don't realize they're stepping into a genetic trap that's already claimed countless lives. Picture the palace in Alexandria, a glittering hub of Greek and Egyptian culture. The first Ptolemy marries his sister, and their children follow suit. Generation after generation, brothers and sisters are raised together, play together, then are forced into marriage beds as teenagers. The family tree becomes a twisted ladder, names repeating endlessly as siblings marry siblings. By the time Cleopatra VII is born in 69 BCE, the Ptolemies have been inbreeding for 250 years, creating a bloodline so tangled that family members are simultaneously siblings, cousins, parents, and children to each other. Cleopatra, the last Ptolemaic ruler, is often portrayed as a ravishing beauty, but that's likely propaganda. After centuries of inbreeding, She probably carried the same physical markers as her ancestors: pronounced facial features, possible jaw deformities, a body shaped by genetic damage. What made her extraordinary wasn't her appearance but her mind. Fluent in 9 languages, versed in mathematics and philosophy, she navigated the brutal politics of the Roman Republic with a skill that outshone healthier rulers. Her intelligence was her shield, compensating for the physical limitations her bloodline imposed. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony weren't just political alliances, they were genetic lifelines. Their children, born of diverse blood, were healthier than any Ptolemaic heir in generations, a chance to break the cycle of destruction. But Roman politics were merciless. Octavian, the future Augustus, eliminated Cleopatra's children to secure his own power. When Cleopatra chooses suicide in 30 BCE, possibly by snakebite, she ends not just her life but a 250-year experiment in genetic isolation. Her death marks the fall of Egypt's last pharaoh, her body carrying the accumulated damage of centuries of inbreeding. Now, let's step back and reflect on what we've seen. Egypt's history isn't a straight line of inbreeding but a cycle repeated across millennia. Each time a dynasty grows powerful, it turns inward, viewing its bloodline as too sacred to mix with outsiders. Political success breeds genetic nationalism, and genetic nationalism breeds collapse. The Old Kingdom laid the foundation with occasional sibling marriages. The Middle Kingdom broke the cycle with foreign alliances, only for the New Kingdom to plunge back into inbreeding. The Ptolemies took it to an extreme, creating a genetic disaster that ended with Cleopatra's death. What makes this story so haunting is the human cost. Imagine waking each day in a palace of marble. Your every need met, yet your body betrays you. Your spine aches, your jaw makes eating a chore, your breathing is a struggle. You're called a god, but you feel more fragile than the peasants outside your walls. Royal children grew up isolated, their only companions those who shared their genetic curse. They saw their siblings die young, their infants buried, their mothers broken by loss. They knew something was wrong, but their world offered no answers, only prayers and propaganda. Modern genetics explains what they couldn't. Sibling marriages increase the chance of harmful recessive genes pairing up, causing deformities, immune weaknesses, and neurological issues. The visible signs, elongated skulls, malformed jaws, were just the surface. The real damage was inside. Compromised immune systems, hormonal imbalances, organs that failed under the weight of genetic errors. Each generation of inbreeding made the next more vulnerable, a spiral of destruction no amount of gold or power could stop. As we close this chapter, let's return to that golden tomb where we began. Look again at Tutankhamun's death mask. Its serene beauty, a lie crafted to hide a broken boy. The pharaohs wanted to be gods, but their suffering made them human. Their mummies, studied by modern scientists, teach us more about genetics than any textbook. Their pain became our wisdom, their tragedy a warning. They thought they were preserving divinity, but they were destroying themselves. Their story whispers across the centuries. Choose health over tradition, humanity over ideology, love over power. Hit that subscribe button to dive into more dark tales with me, and let's keep exploring the shadows of history together.